Eddington. Yeah, that's right, folks. This is the latest film from auteur director Ari Aster. Can we say auteur now? He's made 4 films. All of them have their own impact on the industry and have kind of cultivated an audience. Well, 3 of them at least. I don't know if Eddington's at that stage yet. But Midsummer, people really like that one. I think it's okay. Hereditary, really good movie. Not my cup of tea. Beau is Afraid, very divisive. Quite a picture that is insane. Coming off of those 3 very different films, where do you go from there for your 4th feature? Well, a couple years ago, this thing happened worldwide called the COVID-19 pandemic. The world shut down for a bit. And in that time, people had a lot of time to reflect and think about the world. So Ari Aster said, I'm gonna make a movie about that time in the world. It's bound to happen. I think we are still kind of feeling the ramifications of a post-COVID era of film. There has been influence from the COVID era, there has been production stuff from the COVID era, and quietly, I think kind of 2024 to 2025, we've been seeing films finally getting rid of like the stink of COVID weighing over them. So when you get rid of the influence of COVID on the production, now you can actually talk about the time. Because now it's a moment in time. It is a period piece, which is so weird to think about. That's its own can of worms. We don't have to get into it too much, but I guess we do because we're talking about a movie that's taking place during this period in time. It's no different than this movie being about like the World War II era. It's like a big thing is happening that the whole world is influenced by, and it capitalizes a very specific moment in history. And it's weird to think of like 5 years ago being a historical thing, but it kind of is. And that's really weird, and that's going to mess with your mind in a certain way. Passage of time has just been so weird since 2020. So it is kind of a satirical drama about the state of the world in a very specific town in New Mexico and how some people behave, and that leads to people doing certain things. A very polarizing film, to say the least. I could 100% see people not gelling with this one. I get it. It is a lot of an ask. It is talking about a moment in time not a lot of people want to live through again. But it's also one of the first films to really capture that era in a very specific way, where it's not like being made in that era, it's looking back on how we behaved in that era. So there is some interesting concepts to play with there. I really like the film. I think there is quietly a lot of ideas being presented, and part of why I think this movie works for me is because it doesn't feel the need to really have all those ideas feel fully formed, which is almost a perfect encapsulation of the era it's talking about. A lot of things just happened in 2020. There were so many like social injustices, and there's a pandemic, and then people rising to power through social media and like the voice of influence killing truth, and all of that happening in the span of like this world going crazy because it's stuck in one place. There is something to say there, but because there's so many things happening, not all of them get fully realized, and I think that is perfectly 2020. Normally I'd be like, oh man, figure out your idea and like stick with it and have like a true through line of like the topic you want to say about Black Lives Matter or about Kyle Rittenhouse or something. But I think because this movie is about this moment in time where everything's chaotic and broken, I'm not too worried about everything being fully realized because it wasn't in the moment. So we're in Eddington, New Mexico. There's the sheriff played by Joaquin Phoenix. He's a guy who doesn't want to wear a mask all the time, and he's going to stand up for the liberties of people who don't want to wear a mask. He has asthma. He can't breathe through it. All of the dialogue is dialogue you probably would have heard in your city or your town or wherever you lived. Just the people who are like, please just wear the mask. It stops the spreading. It's not for you. It's for other people. And the people being like, you're encroaching on my liberties as a free person. It's all there. None of it feels forced. It feels very much, this is just what happened. And we were all living through it. But just the slightest hint of like the irony and satire of being there when this stuff happened. I think being somebody who was cognitive as an individual in that time, maybe if you were like 10 and you're 15 now, you're not going to get that. But if you are somebody over 18 who lived through the COVID stuff to now, all of like the actual political and ideologies, that's all going to be real to you. And this movie handles that all really well. Just the way the camera is framed, where everyone is so distant from each other until like the moronic people get really close. It's just so well documenting this moment of just, there's no way it's here in America affecting our town. We're nowhere near Wuhan. But then suddenly, slowly as the story progresses, characters start to cough a little bit more because the entire time we have seen them without a mask. They have been yelling at people. They've been encroaching on people. Quietly brilliant in that part of it. This is such a very specific movie. You know, it's talking about a time in American history and politics that is just bizarre. But it's doing it in such an obvious way where I think the intentions of the filmmaker are very clear. If you can't tell he's making fun of all sides, that's on you. Like, it's so obvious that he's not agreeing with the Joaquin Phoenix character or agreeing with the Pedro Pascal character. It's just documenting how bizarre this was. And then as the story progresses, it gets a little into the Ari Aster. There's more going on here than you think. I think by the time the second act wraps up, it goes into a completely different movie, and that's either going to work for you or it's going to lose you. Probably the least compelling stuff of the film is the back third, just because it doesn't even want to touch the issues that we were bringing up beforehand. It kind of does, in a like probably the most satisfying way. It like pays off some of that stuff with like a very interesting side character who's appeared in the film. Like the best friend of a main character suddenly becomes, and I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, becomes like the Kyle Rittenhouse of the world we're building here. It's such an American movie, which I think makes sense. Like a lot of Ari Aster stuff is just like that weird feeling of being trapped in America when it's trying to affect you in these different ways. That's Beau is Afraid. That is very much Eddington. But so much of like now America where everything is overheightened, and if you turn on your computer, everything around you is terrible. And there's just so much of that going on here, especially in the Deirdre O'Connell character, who plays the mother to Emma Stone, who plays a role in this. We'll get to her in a minute here. That character is very much either the person in your life that you know is going to spew bullshit on Facebook. Like, she just personifies that. Man, Deirdre's doing great. Like, she's just appearing in the perfect projects, and I just love everything she's doing. Fantastic role for her. Joaquin Phoenix, it's a very hit or miss performer. He does exactly what he needs to in this movie, which is be very weak, very pathetic, and that's the type of guy that's gonna like start recording videos of himself and just being like, our government is trying to take away our rights. There's no virus here in Eddington. I'm gonna take over town council because I'm a big mouth guy, and I'm gonna start showing you how we really do things here. Really good characterization of a broken man. I like when a director can find their muse, and I think there's a perfect collaboration between the squirrely, anxiety-ridden, like, idea that Ari Aster has that Phoenix can play with. Like, they're very well suited for each other. Pedro Pascal, he gets some stuff to do. It's kind of just being like, I'm a good guy, but everyone thinks I'm an asshole. They try to do some cancel culture stuff with his character that ultimately doesn't go anywhere, which I also think is the point. That it doesn't go anywhere because we just say stuff and then there's no ramifications, whether it's true or not. The movie does kind of give you like a clear image of like what is true. Sort of. Like that leads into the Emma Stone character, who is essentially a plot device in some cases, but it just leads to some very challenging stuff. Is Austin Butler playing Jared Leto? Like, what is he doing here? Austin Butler shows up being like, once you free your mind, the world's gonna just open up to you, and Emma Stone's kind of interested in that side of things. A little bit of Epstein in there as well, not like too on the nose, but it's very interesting. And then like the whole like so we're doing the COVID stuff and there's like this whole generation below the adults of the kids getting into like the protest and Black Lives Matter, which was handled so well. Like I think that stuff was just so well portrayed. It's just the quiet buildup of like you want to do the right thing. This is how you're going to go about it, and then just escalates into riots for whatever reason that is, whether it's good or bad. Things just take the turn for the worse. It feels very realistic in that stance. Makes it so much more interesting. And where that storyline ultimately ends up, again, it's just kind of lost in the shuffle. Like things just get lost. Like the world that's why I think it's part of what this movie is about, is just how in 2020 shit hit the fan and we've never healed as a country or as a world because of it. Because shit just keeps happening. It's like COVID's here. Black Lives Matter stuff, Epstein stuff's happening, Trump's going crazy, Rittenhouse is now a big deal, you know, the internet's destroying itself, there's like some weird like data refinery thing that they're building over there that could be AI related. It's all terrible, and we just have to keep dealing with it. Meanwhile, you just want to have sex with your wife and she hates you, so that's going to turn you into an incelic sheriff. You know, that's just what happens in the world. And through all that, Ari Aster knows where to put the camera. Like, there's some really good tracking shots. He's so good at a tracking shot. Some really incredible ones that just amp up the tension. There's actually a few moments that feel very scary. Very much just like sitting in like a dark alley, not sure where to go. Some Beau's Afraid stuff in there as well. He really knows what he's doing. Like, this is a good director. Whether or not you think his movies are for you, you got to respect the craft of that. I wouldn't say this is his strongest film, but I think if you have a little bit of self-deprecation in you to look back on like, oh, I was a part of this type of movement or whatever 5 years ago, there's something in here to explore. I think we need that now. I think we've reached the point in time where we're willing to look back on how messed up that was, and that's something to explore. I don't imagine this will be the last of this era of filmmaking or this era of storytelling, but to come out the gate swinging like this, just to say all this stuff, and ultimately it just kind of ends with, and the rich got richer. I can't argue with that, because that is essentially what happened in the world. So, not everyone's going to like that. I see how this could be slow and meandering to you, but I respect it. I respect the craft that went into this very specific narrative, and it's something to behold. I don't know what I'd say the best performance of the bunch was. I think Luke Grimes, who's a guy I'm not too familiar with. I know he's done like Yellowstone for a while. That feels like a very realistic cop. Just like, all right, there's riots. I'm getting my riot gear. Let's go fuck some people up. So that's kind of cool. Maybe the most interesting performance. Or is it William Below, who plays like this other officer that comes in towards like the back hour and just ramps up the tension. It's good. I don't know. Pretty fun movie. So Eddington, I am going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. And this quote I'm about to say came from the COVID era, because it's a big COVID time when I started this channel. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.